Okay, good afternoon and welcome to Pittsburgh City Council's public hearing for Tuesday, May 17th, 2022, relative to Bill 2022-20235. Will the clerk please read the title of the bill?
Bill 235, Resolution Providing for the Designation as a Historic Structure. Under Title 11 of the Code of Ordinances, the certain site known as Rodef Shalom, located at 4905 Fifth Avenue in the Shadyside 7th Ward of the city. The owners of the property support the nomination.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. And our first order of business will be an introduction and comments by Sarah Quinn from the city's Department of Planning, followed by a testimony from our registered speakers. So Sarah, I look forward to turning this over to you to hear a little bit more about this historic site.
Thank you. Rodef Shalom is located at 4905 Fifth Avenue in the Shadyside neighborhood. This is one of those properties that everybody thinks is already historically designated within the city. It is listed on the National Register, and that was done in 1977, so I'm really glad to present this to you all today. I have just some words, a brief description of the property. The sanctuary portion of Rodef Shalom consists of a monumental square-planned auditorium topped by a convex mansard roof or square dome. The green tile with a central skylight along with a two-story projecting entry vestibule faces Fifth Avenue. And really, this is the face of the property that everyone sees driving down Fifth Avenue, The expansive exterior walls are finished in cream color brick from the Katanning Brick and Fire Clay Company and terracotta trim in warm cream shades along with more ornate polychromatic bands, both from the Perth Amboy Terracotta Company and later the Atlantic Terracotta Company. Behind the vestibule, a large volume of the sanctuary measures approximately 100 feet on each side at its base and rises 100 feet to the apex of the skylights. In plan, it has the shape of a canted square with a square with its corners clipped or chamfered, a shape which repeated elsewhere in the building's design, and also Henry Hornbossel's Machinery Hall. Henry Hornbossel was the architect. The square dome over the sanctuary is in the form of a coved vault, which is formed by the intersection of four quarter cylinder surfaces or coves. The religious education wing, also historically known as the religious school, is located to the northwest of the sanctuary with its primary entrance facing Devonshire Street. It was designed by Ingham and Boyd and completed in 1938. The social hall wing was designed by Sharov and Lefkowitz and completed in 1956 and is located to the north and east of the sanctuary with its primary entrance facing Moorwood Avenue. It consists of a series of rectangular volumes with flat EPDM covered roofs. The wings provide space for two primary functions, administration and reception. And what I will say, I'm briefly touching on the description here, but the nomination includes a very detailed description of the building, as well as a map of the floor plan with each of the segments color-coded, so you can identify those. It's much easier to see when you have that in front of you. So I recommend anybody with an interest in that should certainly check out the full nomination. The history of the temple at 4905 Fifth Avenue is the third in the history of Rodef Shalom congregation, the oldest and historically largest Jewish congregation in western Pennsylvania. The first phase began in 1847 when 12 Jewish immigrants on the north side, which was then known as Allegheny City, formed a burial society for the purpose of establishing a Jewish cemetery in Troy Hill. The next year, the group began meeting in a rented room for religious services as the please forgive me, Sha'er Shayamim congregation. Pittsburgh's Jewish population grew with the advent of direct train service into the city in 1852. In 1855, that previous congregation split into two, one Polish and one German. Calling itself Rodef Shalom, or Pursuer of Peace, the German congregation received its official charter in 1859, and its first home was a rented hall on Sinclair Street in Allegheny, which it began occupying in 1859. At this time, it had 35 members and 50 pupils. In 1905, Rodef Shalom formed a building committee headed by Marcus Aaron and held a competition for the architect of its new sanctuary. The committee invited 6 architecture firms to submit designs for which they were paid $250 each. The 6 were Allison and Allison of Pittsburgh, Charles Bickel of Pittsburgh, Albert Kahn of Detroit, Palmer and Hornbostel of New York, Picture and Tackow of New York, and George Post and Sons of New York. It awarded the project to Palmer and Hornbostel. Henry Hornbostel was a New York architect educated at Columbia University and the École des Beaux-Arts in Paris. Hornbostel had been brought to Pittsburgh by Andrew Carnegie to serve as the first dean of architecture at the Carnegie Technical Institute, the precursor to Carnegie Mellon University. And he had designed the school's campus. So Hornbostel worked in partnership with George Carnegie's Palmer for the design of the sanctuary's vaulted dome, originally specified as steel frame structure. And the changes to that structure saved money. Changes from that structure, from changing it to steel to Gustavino tile, ended up saving the client's money. One of the most interesting things regarding the congregation was about 1920, the membership in the Rodef Shalom congregation increased from 549 to 1,128 in 1922. This was due to the congregation deciding that they would no longer accept payments for pews located in the front of the religious area, that it would, the congregation, the worship area would be open to all on a first come, first served basis. So this more democratic process swelled the membership, and as a result, an additional structure needed to be created, or additional religious school space was needed. And the congregation in 1938 hired Ingraham and Boyd to design the school building. So, as you saw from my staff report, both the Historic Review Commission and the Planning Commission provided positive recommendations to City Council for this property. There was no RCO located for that property, so we don't have any information regarding a development meeting. What I can tell you is that the Historic Review Commission felt that this property was significant under 4 different criteria. The first one as its exemplification of an architectural type, style, or design. Temple Rodef Shalom is significant as a skillfully designed example of Beaux-Arts and modern French design principles, uniquely and creatively adapted to the specific program needs of a progressive early 20th century Jewish congregation. The commission also felt that this property was significant as the work of a prominent architect and engineer, and that would be Henry Hornbostel. He, as I said earlier, was the designer of the temple, the dome structure of the building, and has designed many university and significant buildings within the city of Pittsburgh. Let's see. The commission also felt the property was significant in its association with important cultural or social aspects in the history of the city of Pittsburgh. Rodef Shalom is associated with Jewish history of Pittsburgh and Western Pennsylvania. Since 1907, its campus on Fifth Avenue in Shadyside has been the permanent home of the oldest, most established Jewish congregation in Western Pennsylvania, known for its leadership in the philosophy and practice of Reform Judaism. As the leading congregation in Pittsburgh, it represented Judaism in the broader community and participated in issues that face the Pittsburgh community, such as immigration, assimilation, Zionism, and Nazism. Throughout its history, Rodef Shalom provided for the changing religious needs of its members through successive waves of immigration, the Great Depression, 2 world wars, and the baby boom, and the middle-class exodus to the suburbs, as well as changing demographics and the economic base of the Pittsburgh region. Finally, the commission felt that this property was significant in its unique location as a distinctive physical landmark in the community. As I said earlier, Rodef Shalom's location at the gateway between residential Shadyside and the city beautiful, inspired institutional district of Oakland, along with its imposing size, light, and polychromatic building envelope, make it a landmark of unmistakable prominence on Fifth Avenue. So, that, I believe, is what I have for you today.
Thank you so much.
Sure, no problem. Sure.
That was really complete, and I don't have any questions. I'd really like to move it on to our testimony from registered speakers. So when I call your name, we have, I think, 3 speakers with us today. Please give your name and your address for the public record. You'll have 3 minutes to address council. And our first speaker today is Matthew Falcone.
I am the president of the Board of Trustees at Rodef Shalom Congregation. We are incredibly appreciative of your consideration for our historic landmark designation. We are the first Jewish congregation west of the Allegheny Mountains, and we are thrilled to be considered perhaps the first Jewish house of worship landmark in the city of Pittsburgh. I will say that as thank you, Ms. Quinn, for everything that you conveyed about our history and our architecture. While we are tremendously proud of our building, it is the accomplishments of the members of our congregation that are always at the forefront of our mind. It was members of our congregation that have been to into space and have created a vaccine for polio. Members of our congregation have founded so many different community organizations here in Pittsburgh, from the Jewish Federation of Pittsburgh to the Jewish Community Council, and there's so many others kind of deep in our history that relate back to community houses and settlement houses to help people who were coming to America to assimilate. It is one of the tenets of our faith that we are able to help others and to engage in civic life to make the world a better place for all of us. I will say that while I am tremendously proud to be here, I would not be able to do so without the support of the board and the congregation and all of the rich history that is irrevocably intertwined with the city of Pittsburgh's history. So again, council people, thank you very much for your consideration, and I hope that you are able to act on the designation quickly. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Matthew. Next, we have Barb Fight.
Good afternoon. My name is Barb Feig. I am the interim executive director at Rodef Shalom Congregation. I've been in this position, just about 2 months now. but I've been previously in the building and was aware of its magnificence, for there is no other word for this building. It is truly the largest, a huge communal asset. The building is beautiful. It is stately, but it is also a community center. It serves as the location for numerous community activities. And in fact, following the horrific attack at Tree of Life congregation on October 27, 2018, Rodef Shalom since that time has served as the home for two of the congregations who were affected by that shooting. Both Dor Hadash and Tree of Life have found a new home with us in our building. So this designation has much meaning to us in the history of Pittsburgh and the history of Jewish Pittsburgh, and it will enable us to preserve both the magnificence of the physical structure and of the history of being a community center. And we thank you.
Thank you so much, Barb. And we have another speaker who has signed up, Marley Lyons. Marley?
Hi, Marley Lyons, Director of Facilities and Sustainability at Rodef Shalom Congregation. I believe that Matthew and Barb had covered everything quite thoroughly. I just want to add that this has been at least 2-year process for us, ongoing, and seeing it come to the final steps is very exciting, and I just want to thank everyone.
Thank you, Marley. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? Didn't see anyone else in the chambers. I don't see anyone else online. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? Seeing none, I will just say that this nomination takes on particular importance to me because of my family's affiliation with Rodef Shalom congregation and the building. My husband's family is, I think, now going on 6 generations as a Rodef affiliated family. And I think they were members during the Civil War, during World War I, during World War II, have seen it through a lot in this, over the period of time that it's been in existence. And certainly today, as Barb mentioned, opening up its doors to other congregations, opening up its doors to events like Outrageous Bingo, which is, I think, the only congregation, one of the only spaces when it first started was accepting of, fully embracing of the LGBT community and the cause that they were raising money for. So many reasons to be, as Matthew mentioned, so proud of the congregants in the past and current congregants and members. So I'm particularly proud to be chairing this hearing. I will absolutely support this nomination. I know that it's shared by my colleagues who will, defer to me because it's in District 8, but also, as was stated, there is absolutely no reason to deny this nomination. It was sought by the owners of the building, by the congregation and the membership. Sometimes I know we get into a little bit of, there's sometimes a little bit of tension around historic nominations for religious structures. This is not one of those cases. The owners of the building and the congregation wish for it to be historically nominated. And in fact, most people probably thought it was a historically designated building. So I just wanted to mention that it takes on special meaning for me and my family, and I'm sure many others. Thank you to Sarah Quinn for all of your work over these last couple of years. Thank you to Matthew. I know how much time you and Marley and Barb, I know you joined the congregation just fairly recently, but all the time and effort that you've put into it as well. I'm just really appreciative that it will have this special designation in addition to being special in so many other ways. So with that, having exhausted the business of this public hearing, I will now adjourn this meeting. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.